Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. I have not been filming, but I have been reading a lot actually. And we are back. We're settled back in. We're back in New York. No more UK. Next time I see Connor, he will be here. So I have no more excuses. Let's get filming. I have been reading a lot, and as part of the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do by QWERTY, in order for any books to count, they need to be reviewed. And my reviewing platform of choice has always been, I didn't really do reviews prior to having a YouTube channel. Back in 2020, I did do reviews on Instagram, but now I like YouTube. Now, I have 11 books to review. This is going to be a bit of a rapid fire review video. I'm hoping to do all 11 in this video. I'm also hoping to not have the world's longest video, and for me to, for once, stop yapping and just kind of shut up. Okay. Quick reminders, I am doing version 1 of the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. Doubling up is sometimes allowed. The challenge is highlighted in green. They include the A to Z challenge, Queer Rainbow, Spell Your Name, New Release Monthly, Genre Challenge, and Rainbow Challenge. Those can be doubled up with one white square. I could use all 6 of the green shaded challenges for one book. You cannot double up 2 white squares, but all of the greens can be doubled up, and one white can be used with as many greens as possible. Unfortunately, our first book is The Scarlet Letter. I gave this book 1 star. The Scarlet Letter, if you do not know, The Scarlet Letter follows a woman in which her husband is out of town. We're talking about Puritan, New England. Her husband is not in town, and she gets pregnant. So she committed adultery. Now, the entire book, she has to wear an embroidered letter A, symbolizing that she is an adulteress. And we follow her journey and the journey of her husband and the man who fathered her child. Contributed to the making of the child, because he was not a father. I had a proper review for this, so I'm going to read my review from my reading journal. Prose is dry and preachy, talks to the reader way too much. The entire book included lines such as, "Now, reader, here is where we see this and this happen." Don't refer to me. You just pulled me so far out of the story. I want to read a story and not realize that I'm reading a story. I just want to, and not realize that I'm a third participant in this story. I don't like the fourth wall broken. I just want to feel like I'm just living this narrative and not that we have to pause to fill me in. Very much the vibe of when you're watching multiple episodes of a show and suddenly it's previously on, but this is coming up in this episode, watch out, and I didn't like it. The entire book was about slut-shaming the woman, Hester, for getting knocked up by someone who's not her husband. And absolutely no fault was to the man who knew that she was married and continued to court her, let's call it. Pearl, her child, is a completely normal child, but because of Hector's guilt, she sees Pearl as this devil or this witch that she looks at me with these eyes, and it's very dramatic. A lot of classics, my biggest complaint is that they're so dramatic and nothing's that serious. Is truly what I get from that. As soon as the father of the child agrees to be a father 6 years later, Pearl is beautiful. She's the most beautiful child I've ever seen because she's just reflecting Hester's guilt. It's ridiculous. And then once again, are we surprised that Pearl's father once again found a way out of being her father? Quite literally, he took it to the grave this time. So once again, very dramatic ending. Not dramatic ending, but very dramatic in terms of the end of his fatherhood that was approximately maybe like an hour, and then he went, gotta go. Can't do this anymore. So 1 star. I don't think it's a good piece of feminine literature. I don't think it's a good piece of literature. Sorry. But where does this count in our challenge? It counts for S in the it's called the Scarlet Letter. It's S in our alphabet challenge. It is actually part of a brand new category that we have yet to discuss on this channel, and it is the 5 lowest rated books. So when I started this challenge, I went through my entire TBR on Storygraph. You cannot sort based on lowest reviews. You cannot sort based on reviews on Storygraph. That's, I think, the one limitation of it compared to Goodreads. But I love Storygraph. So I digress. I painstakingly went through every single book on my TBR, which was about 140 at the time, and got the average rating and figured out the lowest 5 books. So my lowest 5 books, starting from 1 to 5: Murder at the Book Club, A Most Curious Murder, A Deadly Scoop Inside, The Scarlet Letter, and None of This is Serious. So The Scarlet Letter, we are able to check this off. Does mean I have to read those other 4 books no matter what. It also was a literary book for my genre challenge. So glad I got that over with. I don't read a lot of literature. And it is a brown book for the Rainbow Challenge. This is my copy. It's very brown. And yeah, next up, we have Rogue Protocol. I'm actually going to speak of this and Exit Strategy together. So Rogue Protocol and Exit Strategy are books 3 and 4 of the Murderbot Diaries. Connor just posted an entire review of the Murderbot Diary series, so I'm going to link that. So I'm not going to go too much into the what the series is about. But as a main gist, we have a neurodiverse robot learning how to manage in the world with humans and emotions, and it's a very fun, very cute story. I rated both of these around 3.5 and 4.5. I really like the series. My main complaint with the series in general is that every book except one is a novella. And I think that because of that, a lot of things get rushed. And if we had a little more detail, I would give a higher review because I just want more. So, for example, the 4th book, Exit Strategy, the one that got 4.5 stars, was slightly longer and I think slightly more fleshed out than Rogue Protocol. But overall, I still really enjoyed both books, and I would definitely recommend Murderbot because it's such a fun sci-fi series. So, Rogue Protocol counts for R in our alphabet challenge, and it is a sci-fi book for the genre challenge. The genre challenge is looking so good, and it's going to continue looking so good this whole challenge. I'm so excited. And then Exit Strategy. Exit Strategy counted for E in the A to Z challenge, and E in the Spell Your Full Name. Diana Bello, I got that E in there. Also doing really well with this one. We will see at the end when I show my finalized board so far. I'm doing so good. I'm so excited. Next up, I read Dinner for Vampires. And the full title would be Dinner for Vampires: Life on a Cult TV Show, while also in an actual cult. So this one is by Bethany Joy Lenz. She played on One Tree Hill, and at the same time as being in One Tree Hill, which I only watched like the first season of, so I didn't actually realize it was a cult TV show. But at the same time of being on that show, she was actually living in a cult. She had about like $5 million stolen from her over the course of the time in the cult. She married into the cult. It was a really interesting book, following her life. What did I write about this? Such an amazing story and literally so crazy. People are so manipulative uh, when there are vulnerable people around. Cults are so fascinating, and the leaders understand human psyche on such an insane level. Every aspect is tied to them, and Bethany Joy Lenz is so strong for leaving for her daughter. Also, her dad dug for information. Oh, yes. Bethany Joy Lenz is so strong for leaving for her daughter. Also, her dad dug for information for when she was ready. Her dad's her and her dad obviously split ties halfway through the book because you don't keep your family ties when you're in a cult. That's the first thing they make you do. But he found all this information about how she was in a cult and other people's stories from the same cult, from the same cult leader, and collected all of it so that when she was finally ready to say, I'm in a cult, I need help, he had all of this information for her, and it honestly just kind of broke my heart. It was a beautiful memoir. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad that I was able to read it. Dinner for Vampires counted for letter D in the A to Z challenge. I'm sure you can see where this is going. It also fills out D for my full name, and it is a pink book. It's a bit bright. It's a bit of a different pink than I prefer, but it's still a pink book, so it counts for a rainbow challenge. The amount of challenges that each book fits is going to slow down as we're getting through these like easier ones, and I'm going to have to be more intentional about what I'm reading. But right now, I'm really enjoying that my natural reading is just filling in a lot of prompts, because then later in the year, I expect that I'm going to have to be a lot more intentional about my TBRs and actually what I'm completing. Next is These Summer Storms. So These Summer Storms follows the Storm family, and you could think of the Storm family a lot like if Steve Jobs had this whole family. It's uh the head Storm, the father. He started a company in his garage, a tech company in his garage, and as popular as iPhones are in our world, in this world, it's the Storm phone. Storm phone, Storm laptop, everything about it. So truly, it is Apple under a different name. Her father just died. Our main protagonist has been banished by the family, from the family by her father, for leaking, um, a sexual harassment issue at the company when they were just going to kind of sweep it under the rug and have, what do? They hire press teams and they just give the women money to not talk. NDAs. But she went public and said, hey, this is going on in the company and this is not right. She was set to be the next Empress of Storm Empire. And she got kicked out of that little clan by her father for going to the press. So she has not spoken to anyone in her family for 2 years, and suddenly her dad dies. So now she has to go to their private island for the funeral. And part of the will reading is that each of the four siblings, and their mother have a task in order to get their inheritance. And if any of them fails to do it, no one gets any inheritance from their dad. Even at his death, he is still playing games with them and making them compete. So her task is to stay on the island for a week, to spend time on the island for a week. It is a completely remote island. He owns the whole island, and she is not allowed to leave. So there's a lot of family drama. There's the dad's new favorite, who's not even in the family, but just some employee, who the family does not like and is also stuck on this island for a week. His wife now has to say a nice thing about him each day, which she's very much struggling with. One daughter needs to break up a secret relationship that she's had with one of the staff members for years. One of the son has to actually do manual work and not just sit back and relax, and has to actually do something rather than just being entitled. And it's really good and really fun, and family drama is so fun to read about. Not fun to experience, but so fun to read about. So I really, really enjoyed this book. It did come out in August, which means it was my August release. I read this book in August. I actually finished it on August 31st. I was counting down. I almost failed the challenge on the last day, but I didn't. Each month in this challenge. Now this is where it changed in version 2. In version 2, you have 60 days either before or after that month to finish reading the book for that month. In version 1, which is what I'm going based on, you have to read a new release in the month it's released, every month. If you fail that, you immediately fail the entire challenge. So I almost failed it in the second month because I was taking so long to read this book. But I did it. Took me until the last day, but I did it. So, obviously, this is my August book. And it also is my tea for the Alphabet Challenge. Alphabet Challenge is coming in clutch this month. I'm so sorry. That was all incorrect. This book came out in July. And this was for the July challenge. I literally have notes and I'm still messing up. This was for the July new release, which was the first month that I was completing this challenge. Which means that I almost failed in the first month. I will say I got better in the second month because I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. For August, for our August new release, I read Semi-Well Adjusted despite literally everything. And I read this so quickly. Literally as soon as this book was released, I read it, and the book was released the second week of the month. This is another memoir. This is a memoir by Allison Stoner, who played on Camp Rock, was in the Missy Elliott videos. They were in Cheaper by the Dozen. They were the little girl with the pigtails, the sporty little girl with the pigtails. And this was a beautiful, perfect memoir. And I just love the way that they write and their prose and their voice while writing. They also have a YouTube series called Dear Hollywood where they talk about the dangers of child actors, and this felt like an extension but more personal. I have a lot of thoughts about child influencers, child actors. A lot of them are not good thoughts. I don't think that a child should be the breadwinner of a family. I don't really understand why that's such a crazy thought to have. We are seeing more and more memoirs of child actors coming out as they are growing up and showing that once again, we should not. My mic died. What is the last thing that you heard? Oh my god, I've been filming for a half hour. Hold on. Okay. Mic is on. It is not that bad. I was halfway through my rant about child actors when it cut off. Okay. I was discussing semi-adjusted despite literally everything. Yeah. Overall, I think that discussing I'm gonna check this so much now. I'm so paranoid now. I think that discussing the dangers of Hollywood and the dangers of child actors, especially in the age in which we now have mommy vloggers, in which Hollywood supposedly has things in place in order to protect children. It doesn't actually work, but supposedly they do. Family channels and family vloggers, the child is always on. The child is literally always being filmed, and they don't even have, for example, a home to go to escape it because home is the filming studio. So I have a lot of opinions about family vloggers and child actors, and if you would like to hear about those, I would love to rant about them more. Unfortunately, my rant got cut off, so the universe didn't want you to hear that today. This book was compared to Jeanette McCurdy's memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, and I think that both of them are really important. I think the more books and the more memoirs that we're hearing from actual child actors about the dangers of what happens when you don't have the tools because you're a literal child to differentiate between reality and fantasy. So you don't even know who you are, and now you're being thrust into the limelight, and for some reason, everyone is okay with you being the breadwinner of your family. That's not a pressure that should be put on a child. It's not. So, where does this fall? Obviously, as stated, this is our August new release, and I read that super early, so I'm going to hopefully do that again in September because that was a lot less pressure now for the rest of the month. And also for the queer rainbow, it is questioning. So, as the challenge states, for questioning, The final outcome does not matter here as long as the book features a protagonist that is unsure of themselves. Alice and Stoner spends a good portion of the book and their life being in the Christian church, being in study groups, things like that. So when they were discovering their queerness, there's a lot of questioning. There was an entire exorcism formed. A lot of very emotional, impactful to the young psyche things. They are now non-binary and queer, and luckily, were able to find community that actually accepted them, and they seem to be good right now. Yeah, I'm very glad that they are no longer questioning, but there was a lot of questioning in the book. So that is where I am going with that one. Now, back to the one that I was reviewing when I realized my mic died. Under Lock and Key. If you have seen Connor and I's Scotland vlog, and if you haven't, I highly suggest it because it was a lot of fun. We got to pet some Highland cows. We listened to Under Lock and Key on the road trip. This book was atrocious. I discovered that I do not like monster romance. Listening, reading, whatever with monster smut, it's too close to bestiality for my liking, and gives me kind of the heebie-jeebies. So, we're not gonna do that again. I'm learning. I learned that that was not for me, and then that's okay. I'm not here to yuck anyone's yums. It was just a yuck for me. We did do reviews in the vlog, so I'm not going to go too far into it. But mainly, it was about this American who moved to Scotland and started dating the Loch Ness Monster, who is apparently also a man. Oh, my favorite quote from this book was, "I turned into a dinosaur after dark." It was so dramatic. It's so funny. This book was so unintentionally funny. And do I recommend this book? No. Do I recommend getting a really like kind of dumb themed book for a road trip if you're going to like a different country or a different state or something that like, is why is this also dead? Oh my god, I'm just gonna do this without the mic.
Okay, I didn't lose anything because I happened to actually look at it as it died. So that's a little crazy. But I want to film this video, so we're just going to do this without the mics. And obviously I need to charge my mic. This book was unintentionally a lot of fun. The book itself was really not good. But watching Connor listen to his first audiobook and his first romance was so funny. Skipping literal chapters worth of smut because we couldn't get behind the monster smut was also really funny. And it just made the road trip, as long as it was, really enjoyable. So I recommend the concept, I just don't recommend the book. But where does it fall? It is U for the alphabet challenge. I'm glad that I got that letter out of the way. And it is also apparently the first romance that I've read, which is crazy that this is now going to be just like living on the genre challenge for the rest of this series. But hopefully we finish the genre challenge soon, and then I don't have to see it anymore. But I think reading is a fun journey, and even the books that you don't like, I enjoy being able to laugh. I was gonna have a video about 2 weeks ago in which I read the entirety of The Summer I Turned Pretty in one video, and it was gonna count for my 24-hour readathon, where I have to read 3 books in 24 hours, and it's a 3-book series, so I thought it was perfect. Also, it's like super popular now because it's a TV show. I've never seen the TV show. I love To All the Boys I Loved Before. I love the TV show. I love the movies for it. I love XO Kitty. The series wasn't for me. I read the first one and then DNF the second one. I did not expect the amount of cancer to be within the plot. It hit me a lot harder than I expected and really just made me really upset, and I could not finish. Couldn't finish the second book, couldn't finish the series. So the first book I did give 2.5 stars. I did relate a lot to Belly in terms of her going through puberty and how awkward that is, especially when your best friends are boys and not girls. That I related to very much, and I understood all of her feelings there. At this point, I guess I'm staying with this team because I'm not gonna watch or continue the series. But I was Team Jeremiah. I did not like Conrad. I understand he's going through a lot, but I just don't like him, and I don't like his actions, and I don't really see what Billy sees in him. It very much gave me Kissing Booth vibes. And it kind of feels like Kissing Booth was just a repeat of this main plot of she grows up with these two boys, and then suddenly one day she has boobs, and they're like, "Oh my god, you're a girl? I love you!" Like that was the vibe. So, I didn't like it. It wasn't for me, unfortunately, but it does count for some challenges. So, I put this as H for the A to Z challenge because Jenny Han is the author. And it counts as a book for every season for summer. This definitely was set in the summer. It's called The Summer I Turned Pretty, and also it literally was from like the last day of school until the end of summer. So we have 3 more books. We're doing it, and I don't think I'm yapping too much. That's amazing. Okay. Loch Ness Papers. This was a book that this was another audiobook that I started with Connor. It was a mystery about the Loch Ness, set in Loch Ness in Scotland. We started listening to it on the way back. We didn't finish it, so I finished it like 2 weeks later while I was at work. It was The mystery was kind of, there's this crazy collector of the Loch Ness Monster. His nephew was murdered, and the police think that it's him because he's a little cuckoo. He's known as like the town crazy, and she spends the book proving his innocence and solving the case. I guess the culprit literally right away. Maybe I read too many mysteries, maybe I read too many cozy mysteries, and I just know what to look out for. But I guessed the mystery right away, which does not make it fun. It's nice to be surprised in a mystery or a thriller. It's not really fun to just immediately guess who it is within like the first 20 pages. I really enjoyed the old man, the old crazy Loch Ness Monster man, but he was barely in the book because most of the time he was in the police station. And eventually I might try the first in the series. This was book 4. But at the moment I'm not going to, but I would eventually be interested in trying the beginning of the series and kind of just see how it develops over time. Okay, but the Loch Ness Papers. It counted for L in the alphabet challenge. It was one of the L's in my last name for the spell your full name. I did get very lucky on this one that I do have a short name. I'm sorry if you have a long name and are also doing this challenge, but I did look out, fortunately. It was a mystery, my first mystery of this challenge, so the genre challenge. We got another one. We're doing so good. And it is a purple book for the Rainbow Challenge. Now, for our next book, I know that in my August TBR video, I said that I would use Heartstopper Volume 4 for my purple book, and I literally just used Loch Ness Papers for my purple book. Well, I still did read Heartstopper, but Loch Ness Papers was finished first, and that was also purple, so it got counted. But that does not mean that Heartstopper Volume 4 was not incredible. I love this book. It did take me a couple of days. The main theme was eating disorders, so I needed to kind of take it slow to get through a lot of the beginning. But overall, the series is really just so cozy. I love watching the relationships flourish. I was really happy that Nick's mom was so supportive and also so honest about, you are a 16-year-old boy. You are not meant to solve this issue. You can be there to support Charlie as he goes to people who can, but as a 16-year-old, this is too much to put on you. And I'm so glad that we had that conversation, because it's what I was kind of screaming at the book the whole time, and then an adult finally said it. And I feel like a lot of times in these kind of YA books, the adults are kind of just dumb, or like they don't do anything to help, and it's all put on the literal child, and this is not something that a 16-year-old can solve on their own. So I really, really enjoyed this book. I loved it so much. I love Heartstopper so much. I don't own the volume 5, I think that's something that I'll buy when I'm in the UK next, because in general, books in the US have just gotten so expensive, and graphic novels even more, so I'm probably just gonna wait. I did actually have the receipt for when I bought this book originally, which was 3 years ago, I think. And looking at the receipt at the price of books then versus now was insane. I think I bought the graphic novel for $14, and now that same not a graphic novel would be about 30. So the price of books is just absolutely ridiculous. That's a whole nother issue, and I understand why it has had an increase and the types of platforms that have caused that increase, but it's just absolutely ridiculous from just looking at a consumer standpoint, in which 3 years ago I bought this book for $14 and now it would be double the price. This book counted in the Queer Rainbow Challenge as gay. Nick is bisexual, Charlie is gay. So I counted this as gay. Those are the two protagonists in the book, so either one worked. Because at the same time, I was reading another book in which a bisexual character was heavily featured, so I knew that I was going to have a bisexual book. And that book is Hani and Issue's Guide to Fake Dating. This was such a cute book. This I gave 4 stars, and this followed, Hani comes out to her 2 best friends and says that I'm bisexual. And her 2 best friends go, no you're not. We don't believe you. You've never dated a girl, so how could you be bisexual? Which is such stupid logic, especially when, majority of the times, these same people have not dated a boy. So, how do you know you're straight? Is, the same logic, right? I was a little worried about this book at first because I was afraid it would be too YA. I was wrong. It was perfect. It was amazing. I loved listening to it. It made me just so happy. So this was so cute. It was such a good representation of Southern Asia, of Muslims, and of the queer community. I loved the different family dynamics that we got, and it felt very first relationship, I don't know what to do, but in a good way. It was a little cringy, which is how first relationships are supposed to be in high school. It was really cute. They're trying to, navigate, how close do I sit in the booth when we're eating? How close do we stand together in this photo? Can I hold your hand, type of things. And it was really, really cute to see. It made me really, really happy. I love this book, and I recommend it wholeheartedly. And it counted for 3 challenges, which I love even more. So, first of all, it counted for J in the A to Z challenge. The author, if I say this wrong, I am so sorry. It's really not intentional. But it is by Adiba Jagirdar. And it was perfect. So, J for the alphabet challenge. The author was born in Bangladesh. Hani and Issue are both Bangladesh as well. So, it was some really cool representation. I really enjoyed learning more about different cultures, and especially what they had to go through being in. The book took place in Ireland, so suddenly being the only 2 brown girls in a school full of white people, not just girls. So it was really, really fun, and I really liked the representation. So this does count as my 3rd book out of the 5 from countries other than the US, UK, and Canada. And also, as I mentioned, Hani is bisexual, so this is in our bi-pan category. It got clumped together in this challenge, not my rules, following the challenge's rules. That was 11 book reviews. That's crazy. This is going to be a lot of editing, especially when my mic died twice. I can't believe it. I have had so much fun reading these books. My average rating for these are not high. I had a lot of books that I really did not like. But we have 32% completed, and at the end of August, which it is, I should have had 16.6% completed. So 32, we're doubled where we're supposed to be. I am so excited. I'm so proud. We are very close to finishing the A to Z challenge. Well, we're very close to finishing the full name and the genre challenge and the rainbow challenge. We're more than halfway for the full name, genre challenge, rainbow challenge, the authors from different countries, and the alphabet challenge. We still have a lot more to do, and I will update you every step of the way. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I am just enjoying this challenge so much, and I am planning a lot more videos soon. There won't be such a big gap. I'm very sorry about that. Getting back into work and routine and jet lag, life. But please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of those YouTube things, and I will see you in the next video.